Hey everyone, and welcome to a new video here on my channel. Today I want to talk about how you can easily kickstart your game project in 2024, because there are quite some common practices I noticed over the past 6 years or more where I work in the industry now, and some common practices we talk about didn't change much over the time, but you definitely should know all of them and also follow them, since they always lead to success. However, even if you're also a seasoned developer, there are also quite a few things which changed everything, and there are new AI tools you can use to generate 3D models in real time and much more. We will also talk about those trends and all that stuff, and I will show you how you can even build a game completely by yourself when you are a single developer, or how you can use those tools if you are running a small studio or something like that and working on the first game project there. So everything's possible there with the right strategy, which you will get in this video. Back then, where I started around 6 years ago with my game Meltdown, I tried to get good in all the areas of game development, from 3D modeling to animations and all over to the development and level design and all that stuff. But I quickly noticed that this don't make sense, and you should definitely focus on like the core things you need to build a game, and that would be like the development side. You need to know like how you can develop your own game from scratch, and you also should be able to at least understand, like when you, for example, hire developers, you should understand what they are talking about and if it makes sense, and like also how long different tasks should take and all that stuff. So that's also something I really focused on, then the development side, but also like the level design side. And like with those two things, when you are good at that, you can basically build complete games from scratch there by yourself. And for example, also like all the other things you can mainly buy from the Unreal Engine marketplace, for example, like 3D models, animations and all that stuff, basically you can get from somewhere, but you always should learn like how you can set up those things there yourself or all that stuff. And at the same time, back then I also noticed that it is not so easy to code everything yourself, since the learning curve there is actually quite big. And with every update Unreal Engine also it will bring out new features, like for example the procedural generation there, or like meta sounds and all this stuff, and it's quite huge, and Unreal Engine is getting bigger and bigger and more complex and more complex, since you can also use it in other industries and all that stuff. Like it's really crazy which features you have with Unreal Engine. So if you have a normal day job, it will most likely be it will be impossible to learn everything there by yourself. And also the code needs to get well structured and also optimized, especially when it comes to like multiplayer projects or something like that. So over the past 6 years and the projects I've worked on, I got of course also a good developer there, but back then I also thought, okay, like in this area I really need help, and that's also something I suggest there. If you are currently starting, it don't maybe make sense to like learn everything there yourself. Sometimes it also makes sense to just hire people who already know all that stuff, because for you it will take like months even to understand Unreal Engine and to like get all the good practices and all that stuff in the development area, like to make decent code basically, which you don't need to scrap after some time when you're noticing okay, like there are better ways to optimize the code and all that stuff. So the best and fastest thing that you can do is basically hiring maybe a mentor who could teach you the coding and all that stuff in Unreal Engine. Like this you can like break down the time maybe from like a few months to like a few weeks or something like that maybe. But even then you are maybe wasting a lot of time. As I mentioned, the basics you should also understand yourself, but for the development, maybe if that's like not your like main field, or if you are coming out of a different industry like with your day job or something like that, maybe don't focus on that too much and really search for reliable developers there. We will talk about that in a second as well. But if you want to like really get in the development part, then of course search a mentor who can teach you the coding in Unreal Engine, and if you're not familiar with, but also like for the strategic stuff, like about your game, like how you can release it, how you can handle marketing and all that stuff, there I also always would look out for some sort of like a mentor if you are currently starting with. watching those videos, like I also do here, definitely will help you to get some sort of like an overview about, or to get a roadmap or something like that. But every project is very different there, and yeah, that's why it always makes sense to have some sort of like a mentor there who will guide you which steps are the right or which steps you need to do in the right way, basically, to actually be able to realize your goal there, basically. And I also often assist my clients there with issues they maybe have with their like source control systems, like when they are scaling, also for example the development teams, also like how they can lead those teams, and also like with best practices in general, like for launch strategies or marketing in general. And like those topics also can all get quite challenging when you start your first own game, and for that I always discuss or always recommend to have some sort of like a mentor or something like that. However, as I also mentioned back then, I also try to hire some developers myself to work on the code for me, since I noticed that even with mentoring it will take some time to get good there and to understand everything, as I already mentioned. So I hired some random freelancers there to assist me there, and I guess you can already imagine that it also didn't went so well. All in all, over this time I wasted a lot of time and money in the project without getting very far there, because I trusted the wrong, unreliable freelancers and all that stuff, and also wasted of course a lot of time by learning everything myself. Okay, it was not wasted for me, since I also now help people to don't make the same mistakes which I have made back then, but all in all, like, you can, if you want to build a game, you can definitely do that faster. And there are many things I learned over that time. But yeah, that's a sad reality, actually, that there are many people who are burning a lot of time and money, since there are many unreliable developers out there. And some tips I can give you is always checking out the portfolio and previous projects, but also try to avoid cheap freelancers, since they will jump from project to project and work forever, who will like pay them more than you currently can or something like that. So in the end you will stay there with a messed up code maybe, which you can't fix yourself, and then you also can't continue there without a new developer, and the new developer maybe will also tell you, this code is so messed up, you need to restart. Like switching the developer is always a challenge, or it's always, I don't know, like I would avoid that as much as I can there, basically. So always look for developers who are also looking for long-term projects and are not about, like, I don't know, making quick money there, and like, I don't know, like, always look for reliable people there. I also would try to avoid working together with students. Those also have some time in holidays or something like that, but when the exams come and all that stuff, they need to learn, and they are unfocused or can't work that much for your projects, and then your projects also will get delayed, and like, just avoid that stuff, basically. And the developers you're looking for should be working full-time as a developer, and of course, like, this also would need to charge maybe a bit more or something like that. But especially in the development side, I would not save money there, actually. You can do that with like many other smaller tricks I will also show you in the next minutes, but really you need a reliable developer there who will stay with you in the long term. And like, since every game project will also go over multiple months, or maybe even like 1 or 2 years or something like that, so the developers definitely should be really dedicated there, or you also should design like the payment structure and all that stuff in a way that the developers really can dedicate their time to your projects. You can do that, for example, by paying them based on some sort of like an hourly rate or something like that, and make sure that they block this amount you discuss, like this amount of time per month just to work on your project, and like this, say, have this time blocked just to work on your project. But also make sure that you have some sort of like time tracking set it up there, that you can analyze where the developers are spending money, and where the developers spend the time in. Like this, you can always also maybe give the developer a new direction to focus on other tasks which are more important, or you will also notice there easily when the developers are, I don't know, writing up more time than they actually worked on tasks or whatever. Like, there are many strange developers out there actually, and it's hard to find like really reliable and good people there. But over the time you will like find that out, and yeah. But from my point of view, that's the best thing, or also like from the payment structure, what you can do there to actually attract like reliable developers who also want to stay with your project over a longer duration of time. Of course, you can also hire people full-time, but I also understand that this is not directly in the budget for every studio, or like also for like beginners. So that's why we also worked out different plans there to support individuals there with their games, but more about that in the end of the video. So all in all, there are many mistakes you can make with starting your first game there, and the first you can do is like, of course, also already in the selection of the engine you want to use, and I don't want to hate Unity. Both platforms have their pros and cons, and I also back then started with Unity, but over the time I quickly switched to Unreal Engine since it's more powerful from my point of view, and it's also getting used in many other industries. So for me it was clear to have the skills, or to build up the skills in Unreal Engine there will maybe benefit more, and since I maybe can also find a job in this area. And all in all, it worked quite well, I would say. I have my own Unreal Engine full cycle game development studio now, but yeah, also Unity have some nice tech showcases, and you can also make good games with this when you really master it. But Unreal Engine, I guess, is a bit easier to start with from my point of view, and also another important thing there you should pay attention to are some sort of like the pricing models of the engines. Unity back then wanted to change it in a way that many indie developers had huge problems there. They cycled back, luckily, but I am currently also still really careful there, because something like that could easily happen again and again. And using it for projects, I'm more stick to Unreal Engine there, since it's also free for most users until the revenue exceeds 1 million there. So easy, like especially when you're starting there, Unreal Engine would be free for you, so you can use it easily there to build up some skills, to build up a first own game there and all that stuff. It also has a strong community and support, and many learning resources are also available there on YouTube and all over the internet basically. So that's also a good thing there when you are starting and all that stuff. Now we talked a lot about my past and how I came to Unreal Engine, but how can you now basically get started there easily? Of course, everything starts with an idea. I guess you already have this idea, otherwise you would not watch the video, how you can build your game in the best and most efficient way and all that stuff. But the next step, I guess, of course, already would be the planning. You, all in all, should have a clear vision for the gameplay and the levels and how everything should work and look like. But at the same time, you don't want to waste like tons of time there, because you can really like waste a lot of time there in the planning process. What I always recommend there is making an easy game design document which helps developers to also understand the core features of your projects. And what I also like then to do is setting up, based on this game design document, I will set up a Trello board which we can also split up the features of the game and the game mechanics in smaller milestones and tasks. And those tasks, they also can get assigned to different developers, maybe if the team will grow over time or something like that. And those smaller milestones also get connected with timelines, and like this we can just implement them step by step, or work out some sort of like a roadmap how we can get started there. You will see that, and can also track the progresses there. And for the level design, I also often just use like reference pictures or some sort of like a top-down sketch to get a little overview about the level, how everything should get set up. And the level or the top-down sketch there then also can just show some like towns where should roads be and all that stuff. That will be in most cases enough there basically to get started. And as I mentioned, all in all, don't make those things too complex there. From my point of view, you can waste a lot of time there in this phase without that you have something in the end you can show to people or to build up a community with and all that stuff. Just make sure you have a clear vision of what you want to achieve, and the rest will come and develop, I guess, dynamically over time. To get started now, you can of course also do everything yourself, as I had tried it back then, but I guess my story already made clear that this don't make so much sense. especially in the beginning when you are unsure how to start. Invest some money in some sort of like a mentor. This will really help you to not waste like too much time and money on things you don't really need, or it will also avoid you to go in a like wrong direction or something like that. Every project is different, and maybe also the steps I show in this video are maybe not the best ones for your project. So as I mentioned, don't be scared of like spending a bit money in the beginning for a mentor. This will really worth it in the end, basically, since you have a clear roadmap and a clear strategy to build your game and all that stuff. All in all, you definitely should try also to build up a team there step by step, which helps you to assist building out your game. And in the beginning, I guess in most cases you only would need like one developer on your side, which is really reliable and good. And if needed, maybe later one level designer or like a 3D artist, or like to handle also maybe animation things and all that stuff. But then in most cases you are fine. Like even the 3D artists, you just don't need to hire like, I don't know, full or part-time. In most cases you have like one guy there on freelance basis, and then you pay them for each model or something like that. And you don't need to waste much money there for I don't know, 3D artists or something like that. 3D models, animations and characters also easily can get bought and adjusted from the marketplace, so they look more unique and all that stuff. And yeah, but as I mentioned, like with the level design, if you want to build open worlds, that's something where you need a reliable level designer. If you have complex gameplay, then definitely spend some money there for a good developer and all that stuff. And yeah, that's what I can recommend there. And since also like 3D models and animations and characters they all could get bought and adjusted from the marketplace there as well, so they look a little bit more unique. Yeah, there you also don't need to waste so much money basically. And now you may ask yourself maybe, where can I find those freelancers and developers and all that stuff? And there are actually many sites like Fiverr, for example, where you can find and also filter for developers coming out of your country, for example, that you don't have a language barrier there, also from all over the world. But also Unreal Engine have own forum where you can make a post to look for developers or something like that. Or Unreal Engine also have their own community Discord server where you can also find talented developers all over the world and all that stuff. However, a good background check is always important there. Check out their portfolio and make a meeting, or especially this is also important. Make a meeting with them to explain your project basically there, and also talk about like tasks and all that stuff. Break that down a little bit to show them like what skills they need basically to really fulfill the task and all that stuff. So really spend some time there, and maybe also in the call ask some more questions to also understand like projects they worked on, but also like which role they played in there and all that stuff. So you really should get a good overview there about the skills and all that stuff of the developers there in the call. So really try to learn as much as possible about the skills and all that stuff in the first call, and then make an informed decision after also checking their portfolio and all that stuff. And also with this call you can make sure then that you like the developer and that there's no language barrier and all that stuff. To maybe also secure your project, the idea and also the source code, you can then also set up an NDA or simple contract with the developers before they really get started to work on the project there. And as I already mentioned, there are many different types of developers, from freelancers, which are cheaper, or full-time developers. And I guess the best of all worlds actually would be to hire maybe a small upcoming studio. Many people don't like studios since they think they are like super expensive. Yes, bigger studios can be quite expensive, but as I mentioned, I would really focus on small upcoming studios, since there you can easily get support in all areas which are needed to build out your game, and also they often then have prices which are still affordable and all that stuff. And we are going a similar approach here actually. In the first call we will really analyze your project and the scope of work and all that stuff, to really work out a roadmap or timeline basically, how we can build your project and all that stuff. And then we basically can also help you to put together a team of dedicated and reliable developers which will only work and focus on your project for a fixed amount of hours which they have on a monthly basis or something like that. Like this, we can really make sure that we block the time and dedicate the time just to your project and all that stuff. And at the same time, you also have a fixed amount of money to spend on a monthly base or something like that, so it's also for you a bit easier to like calculate and all that stuff. And of course this can change from time to time. Maybe the development is done and then you need a level designer or something like that, or you maybe want some custom 3D models and characters, and all this can get done by us, since we was able to build up quite a large network of reliable developers and artists over the time, and also hired the best one there full-time just to work on our clients' projects, so they can fully dedicate their time to those projects and all that stuff. And at the same time, you also always can have a strategic assistance there basically from me to plan the game and the next steps there basically, but also we can work out some sort of like marketing and launch strategies there for you to make sure that your game launch later will get a success. And also we will make sure on setting up the milestones in a way like you can get marketing material from the first month on to build up a community, for example also with YouTube devlogs from the beginning on. And this is so important and also makes sense, because when you are able to build up a community from the day one, then you can easily sell the game later to those once you release later and have less work done with the marketing then. And the MVP also makes sure that there is a market for your game, because you don't want to build something over years without knowing that there are like people who really want to play the game. I already mentioned it. I always would use the Unreal Engine Marketplace to accelerate my projects there. There are hundreds of 3D models and also code you can use for your game to build with. However, some asset packs are more optimized than others. We already made a good amount of purchases there, and like my library is like also exploding. Like we have more than 500 asset packs bought so far there. So we know where you need to pay attention to. We know many good asset packs for different styles of games which you can use there. So there it also actually makes sense to have some sort of like consultation first about like which packs you should choose for your project, because it also don't make sense to just randomly mix all those asset packs together. This will just mess up your project and also the code in the end and all that stuff. So definitely here also get some advice there or some consultation before you just randomly buy the full marketplace or something like that. Or also, like in the best case, as I mentioned, you also have a developer or studio there already who built their own frameworks, and this also can be a good thing, since the studio or the developers already know the framework, since they built it out and customized it and all that stuff, and like this you can easily adapt or build your games using these frameworks. And that's also something I would like pay attention to when you work together with freelancers or something like that. Do they already have some sort of like frameworks or shortcuts in general which would enable you to like build games faster? In most cases, developers will not even like recommend you the Unreal Engine Marketplace, because sometimes there are so good asset packs you can use and directly have a game and just would need to customize it. Many people just want to make the most money out of it and like try to like sell you like starting completely from scratch and all that stuff. And with some games, like for example, if you work on an RTS game or something like that, there are not so many good asset packs out there. There it maybe would make sense to like start from scratch, but if you are looking to work on RPG game or something like that, there you already, like when you use an asset pack or something like that from the marketplace, even then you have enough stuff to do there. You want different enemies and different quests, and like there's always a lot of things to do there in those types of games. And for that we also have some sort of like frameworks already have built, and that's, as I mentioned, also something you should check when you look for developers or studios. But once your game is done, I guess I already mentioned it, but devlogs are the key to build up a community before you even launch. But you can also easily set up a Kickstarter campaign once your demo is done to get some more funding back for the full game release. But of course you can also set up, also while you're developing, some sort of like a Patreon page for fans and all that stuff, which want to support the project and all that stuff. Those things always work quite good there. And on those platforms, and also when you talk to investors and all that stuff, it will be always you will always get more trust when you can already show people that you have a playable demo they can download and play themselves. And that's why we usually focus on building a demo as quickly as possible within your given budget and all that stuff. And from there you can then use the crowdfunding and different other strategies I will also show you then to get some investment back to build out the full game then easily. Because like this, when people have the own demo to play and all that stuff, they are more willing to invest in the game and all that stuff. And this strategy worked really well there for our clients in the past and makes sure that you don't run out of funds so quickly, basically, to build actually the full game and all that more complex stuff, like also the setting up marketing campaigns, and all this would like of course blow the video now. But if you want to get some more strategies there, or if it's more interested, definitely let me know that in the comments, then I can also break it down step by step in a new video how I would handle it basically. I hope this video already helped you to get a first roadmap there and that you have an overview how you can get started there with Unreal Engine. However, the most important thing that I have also learned over the time is to never give up. It can be quite challenging to build up a game completely yourself, and I also needed to redo all the code for Meltdown back then since I trusted the wrong unreliable developers. And those are painful experiences, but I learned from them and now I can assist my clients to avoid those pitfalls, and I'm happy to also share those mistakes and all that stuff with you today. And in the end, I'm happy that I didn't give up there back then, and you will also be that as well. When you just trust yourself that this is possible to achieve, just do it like step by step as I mentioned. I hope this video was helpful, and if you want to see some more videos also about how you can use AI to make custom 3D models from scratch, or also how AI can get used to boost the game development processes, then feel free to follow me here on YouTube to don't miss the latest videos about Unreal Engine and game development in general. But that's it from me. Have a nice rest of your day and take care. Bye.